All right, we're at Bitcoin Liberty Live, episode 26, I believe. I got Travis here with me. Daniel is down in Santa Monica. He went to the peer-to-peer Bitcoin conference and I think was up late and busy. And I
He
haven't heard a
should
lot
be.
from him. Yeah.
That's what you
What?
do when you go to those kind of events. You stay up late, you party.
Yeah, I bet he's been having a ton of fun. Yeah, I look
I'm
forward to thinking
jealous.
about it. Yeah, I wish I could have gone. It was hard to swing. We've been saving up. You have plans for El Salvador? Do you want to talk about that at all? You're just thinking down the road at some point.
Yeah, we kind of talked about it, I think, last a couple of these ago. But yeah, I just need to. I have so many other things I need to spend money on.
Yeah.
I'll probably postpone that trip till next year, like beginning of next year. It'll still be really good weather down there. Um,
And I have in my head that maybe if I can swing it, I've never been to El Salvador and I would love to try to make it. So it's a dream.
yeah, we need you to come with us. We'll just do like a 4 or 5 of us and with their families and
And
make it
you've been
happen.
down there. You went once before, right?
Yeah. Yeah, earlier this year in April. It was fun. I was there for the halving party,
Mm-hmm.
not the event. Not the like event with Max and Stacy. It's the actual halving event with the
Mm-hmm.
blockchain.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had like a conference of the same name like a few weeks earlier, but
Yeah, it's funny when I think about the fiat price of Bitcoin and how at one level it's just crab walked and crab walked, and it feels like it's, you know, springing up for something to give that people sort of always speculate about. But realistically, to have it in the high 60s compared to around the halving and all that excitement over price growth, and it was in the 40s. So, and
nice.
it's still just creeping. I try not to pay attention to it, but
Yeah, I
uh,
don't either, but that's kind of I couldn't remember what it was back in April, but
I think it was in the mid 40s or breaking into 50, and then 50 was kind of a big breakthrough, and jokes
nice.
about like, oh, we'll never see 50 again, and then it's try. There's the 58K club, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's just the tide's been coming in for a long time, even as it's kind of just crab walked, but feels good. I feel like I can still accumulate reasonably. It's not what it was, years past or months past, but it's still good. It still feels very good. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of, I my one of my daughters, she did pig 4-H this year and she sold 2 pigs in July as part of that
cool.
program. And she ended up just getting her auction check. So she got a few grand and she has some plans with some of that, right? Like she's gonna have to buy her next pig or next 2 pigs with that money, right? And kind of invest in next year's pigs.
Yeah.
But she has some extra money too there, and so she actually came up to me and she wants to buy a bunch of Bitcoin with some of it. So she said she wants to buy $1,000 worth of Bitcoin,
Oh, wow.
and so she has like in her own personal custody maybe something like $20 or $30 range worth of coin right now. So it's like on a little tablet that she runs, and she's got her Aqua wallet, and we had fun with it where she's like had to write down her seed phrase and keep it secret
Cool.
somewhere. But it's not that much Bitcoin that she's holding. Um, and then these kids they do all sorts of terrible stuff on tablets with their games. They're downloading stuff, and who knows what they're downloading.
Oh, I
So
can't.
so I've been thinking about this. It's like, okay, I need to get my daughter who's 11 $1,000 worth of coin, and sure I can like send her it, right, easy.
Yeah.
But now we're thinking like, okay, how is she gonna hold this? Like, we don't want it on an Aqua wallet on her gaming tablet anymore. So
Yeah.
I've been like thinking about this lately. Um,
the
I
kids
actually,
cold card or cold storage.
right. I have a bunch of hardware wallets that I don't use anymore.
Hmm.
And so I think I might just like reset. I have like a ledger and a Trezor specifically that I don't use anymore. And so I could just wipe those, reset them,
Yeah,
and give it to them because it's not going to hold a lot of coins still, right? But it's just kind of like the next step up, maybe. And then they do have like fairly easy software to interact with those wallets, right? Like that is kind of nice. I'm not going to have them jump right into Sparrow wallet,
sure.
although they're smart enough, like they'd get it, right? They'd be like, okay, they'll see the balance and UTXOs and whatnot. But
Yeah, and just on the path, on the journey, I just figure like all of my young boys, I've got, 3 boys, and they've all got a little Bitcoin. And some I've just given them a little gift on their birthday. Like my 11-year-old just a couple weeks ago turned 11, and got him off zero, and like just $50, and it was um, just an address on a little Bitcoin token thing that's fun to just keep and hold, and I
yeah,
mean, wouldn't
like
be
a
the
little
end of the
paper
world.
wallet.
Yeah, paper. And so um, the coin itself is kind of a cool little metal thing, but it's just a paper wallet. And but for him at his age, he has Bitcoin. And then we also talk about like talking about it, not talking about it, not bragging, whatever.
Oh, right.
I'm all for having the orange pill and talking about Bitcoin and just being excited about it, but then being cool about it too. And then I just figure as they get older, like I have a 20-year-old who's been sitting on a good little chunk for a long time, and um, he's just busy with school, doesn't really care all the time, doesn't always know what it means. He's studying stuff, he's busy. But I just know in my head, like someday it may matter more to him. And when he's more ready, we'll talk about. Now that's on cold storage, but down the road we can talk about how you look at it, add to it, interact with it, play with it. So
Right.
anyway, but just getting on the path, and for a kid, the Tuttle Twins video. I don't. Did you see the most recent one that the Swan
Yeah.
course?
Yeah, I've seen it a couple times now.
Yeah, I love that.
It's pretty funny, dude. Like I like all the little things that pop
Cameos.
out, like just the food items and company names when they're in
Yeah,
the grocery store, and how they poke fun at communism and they poke fun at the seed oil stuff, right? It's just kind of funny. Like
yeah. It
I like that kind of stuff.
it's well done. It's full of little references and names. It's got cameos of people in there. Corey was in there. It looked
Yeah,
like
I
Corey.
saw that. I thought that was funny. It's like, oh,
That was
nice, nice, yeah. And then
yeah,
they had we just have a huge Swan ad in the middle of it. I
yeah,
thought that was funny too.
yeah.
Uh,
Along with, was it Red Bull or something anyway? But it was funny because um, yeah, it's the sponsored by. Well, and I love the fact that Swan is into that and still has that presence there. That good, reputable Bitcoin maxi philosophy there. So,
yeah, I mean it's education content. It's good. There's not really that much stuff out there for
no,
kids. There's like the gaming stuff. There's a lot of like games, Bitcoin games, but
mm,
as far as like actual entertainment, like because our kids they hardly get screen time. So when we're sitting down as a family and watching, like letting them watch a cartoon, like that's huge.
yeah,
And they
and
they were laughing at it. I mean, they were laughing at different parts of that
yeah,
show. So
Grandma's funny. The little weasel character's funny. Um,
yeah,
and for people who don't know Bitcoin, it's just something entertaining that just it's got a little kind of philosophy education for anybody. Anybody could just sort of enjoy it for fun, and well done. Yeah. Angel Studios does a lot of the whole Tuttle Twins thing. They've got so many good things. I mean, The Creature from Jekyll Island and Inflation.
I just
The
got all their books recently. Um I bought one of each. It's like, I don't know, maybe a dozen books or so.
mm-hmm.
And they're kind of small. Like you can sit down in one session, right, and read them. But I was just gonna like put them because it's like a collection. I was just gonna like store them somewhere on a shelf, and then I left them on like a table, and the kids helped themselves to it. And then I was like thinking about it, it's like, well, I'm not gonna get mad at them because they're like kind of, they're like using the books. Let's just put it that way, and they're reading them though, and
Yeah.
it's kind of like, well, that's really what the best use case for those books is, just have my kids read them, and I didn't even like force them to, right? Like they just with their own interest read them all, and they're not like in perfect condition to throw on my shelf anymore, but that's fine, right? Like who cares?
Nice
It's
to
way better if the kids just read them.
yeah, a kid's book that's been fingerprinted and bent over and used. It's like, okay, it books should be read, and kids are
Yeah.
gonna bend the spine. um, I I had a I had a Principles of Economics signed by Saifedean from the Bitcoin 2023 conference, and I was reading it, but I read it carefully, so it's in good shape, and it's like one gonna go on the shelf, but it's got his writing in there, and my 3-year-old found it and was carrying it around. She knows it's like daddy's book, and so
Yeah.
she's wanting to be possessive of it. She found it and was like folding a page or kind
Oh
of
no.
treating it less like it deserves. And I was like, no, don't touch that. But also, she's just a kid, so
Yeah.
kids are kids. But
Yeah. It wasn't
like,
like Jamie Dimon sent her in there to destroy it or anything.
I love Jamie Dimon playing with his pet rocks, and yeah,
Yeah, my
funny.
kids kept repeating those lines. Because I watched it first with like my two younger kids, and then we watched it as a family later. And the two younger kids kept like repeating stuff that Jamie had been saying.
Mom,
But
I'm not doing anything weird
yeah,
in here.
that's the one that they really liked. It was pretty funny.
Oh, these people. Yeah, funny.
Yeah, they did good. So yeah, and so my kids have been watching all sorts of Bitcoin propaganda with me, and then including that, and now they want to buy Bitcoin. Our oldest kid hasn't gotten her auction checks, but she's probably gonna get like $5,000 or $6,000 from her
Wow.
auction. Yeah, and she hasn't talked to me yet, but she mentioned to the wife that she might want to put like half of it into Bitcoin,
Awesome.
which is pretty cool. So with that kind of stack, we're gonna think about securing it, put in vaults, we have giant safes in the hotel, so
Hmm.
we could store it for them and store the hardware wallets. I mean, but
Yeah, just step one for people. I mean, professional adults that I interact with, and they're curious, and it's like, just get off zero. I don't put $10 in it. I don't care. And like, I don't like any of the big exchanges, but you use Stripe, use Swan, just get an account. Yeah, you got a KYC, all that, but start. And then if you're accumulating at all and you get up to some kind of interesting balance,
mhm.
then next steps, like how do you move it? How do you secure it? But at least they get away from just Coinbase or something. So um,
Yeah,
it's a long path, and then um, I don't care how they get on at all, as long as they in their head they just know they have a little, and then they're just paying attention a little more because they care, and um, they'll
yeah,
make.
yeah. River Strike Swan is usually who I recommend to people when I'm trying to orange bill them. And then
Yeah,
for
and say,
wallets, I've been recommending Aqua lately. Although
oh,
they have they have some garbage on it. It's like the tether stuff's cringy. I just have to tell people like just ignore that. That's for the African continent. They're trying to orange pill people over there.
You don't need to
That's what I've
convert.
heard them
You don't need to
say at
convert
least.
USD to Tether.
Yeah.
Just yeah, I know, I get it. Um, the Saifedean had uh, the Bitcoin Way on recently, and boy, they really get into operational security and security, kind of like if you listen to what Jameson Lopp talks about with security, and you can really go down
Mm-hmm.
these rabbit holes with security, security, security. And for any average person, it's overwhelming. Like, oh my gosh, they don't have that mindset. I mean, they're not holding many bitcoins. They're just getting in, and I find it all very fascinating. But then I can only manage so much, and so I try to keep it simple. Just hardware wallet, physically secured, and mindful of my processes, and just real simple for me. But
Yeah, I mean it'd be easier if we weren't like you and I are pretty doxed and people know us as Bitcoin people.
right,
But yeah, having physical security and talking about it so people don't get ideas. It's like you're not gonna be successful here, and I'm gonna try to kill you. So just be prepared. But
stay alert, freaks. It'd be like if the Bitcoin price went just crazy, and I have a steady Bitcoin bumper sticker on or something, and then people think, oh, he's a Bitcoin guy.
mhm,
It's like, gee, should I be more anonymous? We have a podcast going. That's kind of doxing.
right.
But yeah, whatever. We're also armed, so
Yeah, I mean it's
come take it.
yeah. You can only hide well so much. Like we drive a nice car. We
Sure.
don't dress like peasants. So it's kind of like, you know, we probably have money in our pocket,
Right.
but there's also bulges on our hips.
Right.
So you can, and
I,
veteran plates.
yeah, I'll carry from time to time just to practice that. Um, Bitcoin veterans, man, they just continue to be chugging away at their work. I mean, people are donating really well to them, and they're out there providing all kinds of updates, and they're just getting stuff done on the
Yeah.
ground. It's awesome.
Yeah, there's a bunch of us over there in North Carolina and working their butts off. I follow along. I donated.
Hmm.
I'm still in Oregon, obviously, but I thought about going over there. It's like I could probably do a lot of work remotely, just like in a hotel room or something, and like
Hmm.
during the day have a few hours to dedicate. But um, I haven't done that.
Yeah, they're setting up Starlink and routers and
Yeah,
new
Meshtastic.
stuff, and
It's good
it's awesome.
stuff. Yeah, I need to get. I've been working on with winter coming in here. It's gonna get cold, and I
Hmm.
have I need to work on insulating our living areas. So I've been working a lot on that.
Hmm.
I have probably 20 bags of insulation in the lobby currently. So
What works
it's
for you?
crazy. Yeah. Yeah, it's like the blow-in insulation. So I have to go rent
Hmm.
equipment and get it done.
Yeah, it's like room by room, chip away at it, and um, don't think about all of it too much all at once because it could feel overwhelming, I suppose.
Yeah, next time you're in town, you'll need to swing by. I can show you our penthouse upgrades. It's
Cool.
quite different than the last time you were here.
Awesome.
You'll be surprised.
Yeah, I was up that way Friday. Of course, there was court, and just uh, talk about fiat jobs and busyness and not feeling like you have the time you'd like to take for everything you'd like. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, you. Um, you left the law enforcement world. I'm still there. You're into Bitcoin now with Swan, and Daniel is definitely looking and thinking. So Daniel recently left our legacy careers of criminal justice, and so yeah, I know he's definitely evaluating what is better now, like escape the fiat world.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
it's
wanna I wanna hear from him about how LA went and if he made
mhm.
any like interesting connections and
I
uh
expect he'll be back next week, and we'll catch up on everything there and where he's at, what he's thinking of. Um, I'm jealous because he's well. So I was super jealous when you jumped and landed, and then um, Daniel has jumped and he's looking at how and where he might want to land. But uh, just to be liberated in that sense,
yeah.
it's like, oh, turn a new chapter, a Bitcoin chapter. That would be so inspiring.
Yeah. It'll be it was fun. It was fun jumping into it.
And not that you can talk about work a whole bunch, but I mean, work's been steady and busy. Swan is still at their core business. I mean, I know a lot of people see how Swan has shifted, backed away from a lot of the um, marketing type promotional outreach. They're still in the space, obviously, but really focusing on the core business now.
Yeah, it's really the same old for me at my level. Just plugging away. But yeah, it's busy. I it's good work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, working remote is huge too. And then everyone that works at Swan are pretty much Bitcoin psychopaths, so the
Mm-hmm.
culture is really good. It's it's nice working with people you want to work with.
Yeah.
Not necessarily used to that, in previous careers. So
Yeah. Even as I like the people I work with, the nature of the work is a grind and sort of the onslaught of, I mean, it'd be like if you're on patrol or doing criminal detective type work or grappling with some of the most challenging people in society. It's important work for someone to do in some way. But when you've done it like me for darn near 20 years, honestly, more than 20 years now, it's been for me. Um, and retirement is not immediate. You start to feel things about, wow, yeah, is this just my retirement career? I mean, it's certainly stable, uh, job security with the nature of the work, but also, gee, after 20 years, you get tired of some of the orientation of the work. You might work with people you like,
mhm.
smart people, but um, I can't talk about Bitcoin the way I might normally talk without appearing to be strange, or I'm like a closet Bitcoin psychopath, and I just have to keep it cool. And where are people at? Different people are at different places in their journey, and largely anyone who's even mildly curious is on just step one of maybe off zero, and that's where they're at. And they got to be there for a while, and they don't want to hear about it all the time. Whereas I look at our jobs, and I everything goes back to for me like the money. Um, for them it'll be like, oh, the politics, the political season, the election. Not that it's boring, it's just so much deeper than that on our Bitcoin stuff.
Mhm.
Like, why is it all like this? And you can go back to the money.
Absolutely. I just picked up my ballots today in the PO box for voting.
Oh yeah, mine are probably in the mail now.
I'll still vote this election, but
I vote. I just when you live in, I mean, that's the thing, you live in a state like Oregon. You get people get all wrapped around the axle over the presidential stuff, and it's like, dude, you live in Oregon. Do you think something's going to be different than voting harder about? It's you know where Oregon's at on that, and
Yeah, I'm just
as a, the electoral thing. So
yeah, it's dumb. It shouldn't matter this much. Federal government's too powerful. But
yeah,
it will be fun to watch people freak out if Trump wins. I'm like in it for that. I want to see really terrible
riots
people
in the
get
street.
upset about like people with Trump derangement. I like to see that kind of stuff. It's the triggerings
There's
will
a
be pretty
spectrum of
entertaining.
yeah. There's a whole spectrum of Trump derangement, and for some, it's just kind of complaining about whatever impending, um, uh, like some sort of empire that's going to occur or a totalitarian thing. But um, yeah, it's like a circus sideshow, and Antifa kind of laid low there for a while, and I just see all of what we saw 4 years ago all coming back with dumpster fires and angry people down with whatever.
Yeah, and I don't mind that honestly. Like those that happened in cities that I don't care about, that I don't go to, and if they can't clean it up, then they must want it. I don't know. I didn't have that problem where I'm at.
Yeah, where we're at, we're pretty good that regard. Urban zones don't seem real sustainable at a cultural level. Just you know what, other than supported by money printing, and I don't know how you make it work sustainably long term without law and order. If you're going to have, say, rules followed or consequences to destroying property, but
Hmm.
as I see it occur, it's like, well, what would you expect? I guess if you don't deal with it. Um,
Yeah,
but
it'll be interesting to see. Are you there's like a few watch parties occurring for election night. Do you have any plans? Are you gonna go to watch
I
one?
don't have any plans. Um,
I haven't committed to one, but I've got a few invites. I was even thinking about hosting my own. Not really sure what to do yet.
yeah, I like good solid results aren't often decisive until either very late or the
Yeah,
next
like the
day.
next morning. Yeah, that's
And
true.
sometimes I'll be like, well, I'm going to just try to sleep well so that tomorrow, when all the drama's hot, I'm not worn out like I stayed up trying to wait for it. And I'll find out tomorrow, the next day.
Yeah, hopefully it's smoother than last election, because that was one of those ones where it's just like it was kind of in the air. It felt like,
Questions.
yeah, a lot of questions. Yeah, it's just like it's not like super definitive.
Yeah, for the sake of YouTube, it's like, can't say that elections are rigged. They're surely not. My cynical view on it is often that the the fix is in. Um, uh, I personally feel like there's so much shenanigans. You can't audit this stuff. The electronic voting machines, and that there's going to be so many jurisdictions. It's like it's either weird results that people want to contest, or
Hmm.
however the results are, people are going to want to contest, or they're going to be close and questions or all kinds of allegations on hijinks or weirdness. And it could be that for a long time there's just arguments over outcomes. And if it's close enough, I just hate to see these scenarios where everybody's expecting it to be done and then it sits at a court or something, and just the whole procedural justice of it all is feels like a show, or nobody, half the country will hate, um, and the whole thing about it, where are all these mail-in ballots coming from, and do we know? And
Yeah,
there's
I mean, if it was it's a shame it's not more trusted. Let's just put it that way.
yeah,
And if there's room for it for people to not trust it, then there's something wrong with the process.
yeah,
Um, it doesn't help that the process is different, like all over the place. Um, like in Oregon, we've had mail-in ballots forever, so we're kind of used to it. But I just don't really care about, like, even if I just assume that all the voting is like legit. I've had so much experience with people that are just so where you have, like, in Oregon, the majority will just vote to get rid of, like, other people's rights and stuff. And so it's
Mhm.
just like I don't I think I don't like the system. It's I kind of like have this idea, there's like right and there's wrong, and sometimes, hopefully the majority, lean towards the right, but there's so many examples where that's not the case, and they can commit all sorts of violations and atrocities. And we talk about like the voting majority, but it's hardly any hardly anyone votes, and that's why we need King Thomas Massey.
Right.
Just get rid of the voting. Thomas Massey's our king. The end.
That'd be simple.
We would have more freedom that way than any sort of Bill of Rights or voting. It would just be Thomas Massey. Whatever he says goes.
Get back to the Constitution. He's probably the most constitutional guy I've ever seen. I mean, next to, say, Ron Paul or something. But
Yeah, probably.
um, yeah, in Oregon, I just get used to the standard narrative, and like even in my world, just more government, more money from wherever. Just
Yeah.
throw
Well, people are
money.
gonna vote for stuff, right? And that's another thing I don't like about voting is like everyone gets to vote. You don't even have to be a citizen necessarily. And then there's so many, like, you just watch. Have you ever seen those YouTube videos where people are being asked questions, like really basic questions on the street, and
Sure.
just they're awful.
You
Like they
don't know.
just,
Yeah.
it's like though that's I immediately think about, like, I wonder how many people are voting. How many of those people are voting? It's just those are
Right.
the type of people.
A lot of them.
It's just
Well,
um
there'd be campaigns like "Get out the vote. We want you to vote. Come on, kids, vote. Just we don't care how you vote theoretically, but just vote. Vote more.
yeah,
Vote harder.
yeah.
We want."
Well, and if you're not informed, or
Yeah.
because the idea I think is like people will vote for their like own self-interest.
Yes.
But
In Oregon, there's like 6 ballot measures or something for all this stuff, and I will actually read the pamphlet and think about it and spend some time because I'm also just curious, like what's being thrown at us. But man, a lot of people, they're not doing that. They get it. They might read the headline. Oh,
hmm
I like this idea vaguely. It seems like more stuff for people. So you vote for it. And then you just get more and more, government here to help. And it pulls us away from core stuff that works for communities where we help each other out, have and expect responsibility. And if there was less voter turnout, but the people who voted made the effort to care and understand why they were voting, I don't care if a quarter of the people vote, but the people who are voting care enough to, like, say, actually have ID like everybody does and actually show up somewhere to do it. Um, I don't have a problem with that. Instead of just like, let's make it so easy. Do you have a pulse? Okay, fill in dots. Do you like do you like vanilla or chocolate? Well, just pick one, and vote for it. And but you don't really know what does that mean when the vanilla's got seed oil in it or something.
yeah,
But
yeah, man. Yeah, we've been changing our diet at our house lately, where we're trying to exclude all that garbage, which is like in every food basically, and
mm,
especially like fried food and anything with seed oils, obviously. But
a lot of the dressings and
mhm.
sauces and stuff that make things taste good, like I'll just think, oh, I'm eating healthy because I'm eating chicken. But a lot of the
Yeah, your
sauce,
barbecue sauce is probably ruined.
oh yeah,
Yeah, there's like alternatives for sure out there, but they're just like they're just not as good. Like, let's face it,
yeah,
or they're a lot more expensive. I mean, like, you can still like cook up a steak,
Mm-hmm.
put some salt and pepper on it, right? Like it's gonna be amazing. Like we're eating good, we're eating great, but it's just hard because, like you said, a lot of the sauces, a lot of the we'll just like buy food and food that we usually buy. Um, a lot of it's just garbage. A lot of it's so much of it's bad, and then I forgot why I mentioned it.
Eating healthy and see, I when you have young kids like I do, or we go shopping, and the stuff that's marketed for kids or some of the toy food stuff, obviously there's the sugar and then the colorings and additives and the ingredient list that you just like, what in the heck is this? Um, there was, I can't remember what it was. It was something innocuous that I thought, oh, I like that. That seems natural and healthy. And I glanced at it. It's like first ingredient is corn syrup. It's like, what? And
Hmm.
then from there, just whatever. But peanut butter. Unless you're getting actual, just basic, regular peanut ground peanut butter. It's vegetable oil, and in parentheses, the vegetable oil is actually all kinds of seed oil stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and so you think, well, what's wrong with peanut butter? And it's not exactly peanut butter.
Yeah, there's I remember what I was gonna say. So we've been researching more about the foods we consume, and a lot of it's the seed oil is like the main problem, or like different things that have heavy metals in it, like a
Mm,
lot of fast food, and you like being exposed to all this like information about how unhealthy our food is, and it's just food that every American's like consuming pretty much, and it's just rampantly available everywhere, right? And it's cheap and it tastes good, and then then you learn how toxic it is for the human body, and like all the different health problems that have sprouted up in this country since they
mhm.
started doing that kind of stuff. Like they were talking about statistics with like heart disease being like barely a thing back in the day. Like people that there's hardly any doctors that were specialized in it. And it was just like not hardly a thing. And then and now it's like one of the leading causes of death, right? So
Mhm.
it's interesting. And then not to mention like obesity levels and just general unhealthiness that's
Yeah,
come from this. But it just reminded me that you when you realize how it's actually like toxic and poison for humans.
yeah,
And then you think to yourself, oh, and this is all done in a highly regulated environment. Like the government wasn't there to protect you like it's mandated to, with a lot
mm,
of their like food and drug programs and all these different like, agencies that are out there that are supposed to protect people. But it's
yeah.
like this is all done under their watch, right? Like this, or they facilitate it. They're like part of the problem. It's just, it's
Well, like
so.
what they
I don't know
call.
what to do other than shake my head thinking about it.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it's so deep and it's gone on for so long that what's known as like the Farm Bill is a kind of food subsidy bill that really benefits stuff that they can process, soybeans and corn and stuff that they'll heavily process into, it's not going to just corn and soy and some of the stuff. It's, these are mechanisms that they use these materials to make processed stuff of all kinds to make cheap food. It's basically cheap calories, good tasting toxins. And
Mm-hmm.
um, the Betty Crocker cookbook that's been around forever, like grandma had the, for 70 years, the Betty Crocker cookbook, you crack it open, you're looking through stuff, and there's an assortment of everything. But man, it's like, how do you cook with sugar? It's sugar, and it's kind of weird. It's campy at times, the old ones, but it's definitely like back in the day, it was like sugar, sugar, or add sugar, add corn syrup. It's like make food out of, you know, sweets and stuff, and it's
Yeah,
just
sugar is a big scam, man.
um,
Like with the sugar industry, and then
the whole foods. With inflation, everything like the whole base foods, yeah, they're more expensive now. So inflation hits it. People want to buy on the cheap. It's the whole fiat food, like the fiat
mhm.
food book. Yeah, you can keep costs down and buy cheaper, but you're not getting the whole foods trying to spend cheap, or spend more cheaply on the $2 menu at McDonald's or whatever. um, you could still keep your costs of food down, but the ingredients and the food you're getting is just more of the garbage. So um, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because that's the reason why all these companies are using this poison. It's cheap, allows them to mass produce things,
Hmm.
and but it's cheap. So it's interesting though, because like you would think that like if you are a company or a restaurant or some distributor, you wouldn't want the reputation of poisoning your customers.
I heard
But here we are. And so it's interesting that like it's easy to think, oh, if there weren't any government regulations, these people that are making food will just make whatever. And like the counter to that would be like, well, they're not going to like kill their customers or poison their customers. But it's like, but that's exactly what's going on. And
well,
on top of it, you have it's all under government regulation. So it's just like all so messed up and so broken.
well, that
It's
the
funny.
the healthcare system, I would call it a sick care system, but
Hmm.
it's not just going to overtly kill you, but it'll make people just sort of unhealthy enough, steadily unhealthy that you need more. Like, people think of their health as like needing to be plugged in with a system that takes care of all kind of like their medications, and um, it becomes a technological approach to something that, uh, if you got down to it, it'd be like personal, your health, your fitness, your mental health, and get down to basics. And the sick care system just sort of maintains and invests in all um,
It's like trying to squash symptoms and move things
Mhm.
around. Yeah.
Treating symptoms. Yeah, treating
Yeah.
all. We have all these things for all these symptoms and side effects with other symptoms. So we have other solutions, and as opposed to the core, yeah, toxins in what people are eating and in their environment. But it's so deep that, yeah, that's where, like, when people talk about, well, vote harder, and I'm just like, I'm so beyond that. I can take care of myself and my family,
Yeah. Take
and
care.
beyond
That's what
that,
I do. I focus on the family, focus on more local. And, we're doing our research and trying to eat healthy and work out and protect ourselves.
yeah.
And it's more just about like access to the information now and access to the alternatives.
There was an anecdotal news item. I I can't substantiate it, but I'd heard that a bunch of employees at like General Mills or Quaker or something were protesting the fact that,
I think it was a mom's group, is what I
was
heard.
it a mom's group?
Yeah, they're demanding that the company change something.
It's like
Um,
you're advertising this as like, oh, that we make oat cereal, or like, part of your nutritional breakfast with a picture of a glass of orange juice and an egg or something. And it's like, no, the cereal you advertise as being like healthy or wholesome
yeah,
is
I think it was
just like,
like food dyes or something like that. They're protesting the use of that, and there was like healthy alternatives they could have used, but they don't, or they do, but only in other jurisdictions that require it. Something like that.
yeah, there was a comparative
Kind of
cereal
coming back to
in
me.
Europe. The same brand of cereal in Europe has actual sort of recognizable food ingredients. And in America, it's unrecognizable because it's, um,
Yeah, that's probably what I was thinking of then. Yeah, it's
yeah.
interesting how like some countries just outright ban. certain things we have in all of our food. But
Yeah. I see a couple of Ayn Rand books on your shelf, and maybe I hadn't noticed those before.
yeah, they've been there for a while. And then I have all my
Michael Malice.
main collection right there. Yeah, Michael Malice. These are all autographed,
Awesome.
except for The Price of Tomorrow by Jeff Booth. I don't have that one autographed. But all the other stand-up ones are autographed.
Cool. Yeah.
So yeah, I have three of Safe's books, all autographed. But I haven't even read the Principles of Economics one yet. I don't want to open it, man. I'll just get it I'll find it a digital copy or something.
It's good. It's readable. Not that it's not technical, but it is quite understandable for a layman like me. And I was reading it. I was telling my wife, it's like if I had read this when I was in college or high school, I want to get into economics because he makes it interesting. Where like there's a good route with economics, and that in one sense, for the first time, Bitcoin gives us the kind of language and science from which to base economic principles that isn't Keynesian, and so is made weird and fungible, where you're just looking at productivity and consumption, all with a expandable money supply, and that the money supplying some central agency, some central government should, as their job, manage a money supply to encourage outcomes. But with Bitcoin, you get back to these base principles that very much support Austrian principles, and that now you can actually, as an economist, you can do math on and formulas on things using a hard money to actually see what's happening versus, well, but the money's so weird that it all becomes something else. So between Bitcoin and Austrian economics, economists could, do jobs like they used to do that make sense. And you can see what works and what doesn't work versus, well, just print more money or contract some money.
Right.
And then ultimately, like what we see, like in the election, people are like, well, I like this and I like that, left or right. It's like either one of them that get in office, it's just how much more are we going to spend for what?
Yeah. I don't
They're
think
going
there's any coming back. Yeah, the spending's out of control and the debt's out of control. But
and at this
so
point, we will never, you cannot print. We can't print our way out of it. We'll never pay off the debt. What all that looks like, for people that don't have Bitcoin or
yeah.
authorities that don't adopt Bitcoin, they're cooked. So
Well,
numbers
my
can,
kids will be squared away at least.
but yeah, Bitcoin folks.
Yeah, speaking of, I should probably get back to them.
Cool. All right, I'll cut you loose. We've been on here for almost 50 minutes, so yeah, I'm glad
Sounds
you could
good.
join me.
Yeah, no, it's always down. It's always nice to see you again. So
Yeah, happy to have you join us and keep the talk talking.
yeah, I'll try to meet. What's next Saturday? I think I might be in Bend next Saturday.
Meet up.
Well, I'll reach out to you because I'm interested to hear from Daniel and how LA went. So
Cool.
all
Yeah,
right, man.
maybe you
Have a
join.
good weekend.
Cool. All right.
See
Thanks for
you.
chatting. We'll see you. Bye.